Welcome to the channel. This is Geauxgreddy and welcome to the 2020-21 FIA Manufacturer Series race number 8 at Tokyo Expressway. Tonight we are in the Group 4 cars and I scratch, crawl, and climb to try and get myself out of the hole that I have put myself in. So stick around to see how I did. If you could be so kind as hit the like and or subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. As you can see, we have found ourselves in a BS lobby. We had a DR reset thanks to my SR plummet after Monza and a subsequent Spa race to race it. So didn't fare too well. So ended up in this lobby. And I did notice this gentleman, Drongo, never guess what his name was, right? In front of me here. So I'm like, hey, I know the guy. He was in my A lobby. So I'll jump in behind him. Maybe steal some slipstream because the Scirocco not the swiftest on that long straight. And then of course as we got to the end of the straight where the little Scirocco would begin to shine, of course I found traffic, and the traffic would be of no use to me during my lap. And as you can see, I ran a 2:10.787, so I just exited out and then waited a few minutes to kind of let the traffic go by. I figured I'm just going to go out on my own here and see what I can pull off. So that's what I did. Headed back out on to the track and just tried to concentrate on my lap and just set a lap time by myself. So come down the final straight after that lap and cross the line with a 2:08.225, and that was good for P2. So I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, I did a 2:08.3 in a practice lobby right before then. I jumped in, so I was like, yeah, that'll work. P2. Was pretty sure I could do some damage from P2, you know, and get a good finish and get a good clean race. Because you're up there at the front, you know, you tend to have the little bit cleaner race because the guys up front generally most of the time have practiced more, so they're a little more familiar with the track, riding in the slipstream, all of that. So I was pretty happy with that position. Talking about the strategy of the race, you had a choice between a no stop or a one stop strategy. Now, if you one-stopped it, you know, you were going to push hard pretty much the whole race, maybe save some fuel where you could, go in lap 7 or so, top off what you needed to get to the end of the race, or you go with the no-stop and save fuel wherever you could. You know, out front, a little difficult to do the no-stop strategy in most cars. Definitely in my car, it was difficult. So I was going to base my strategy on what the car in front of me was doing and how well I could stay in the slipstream. So there's ATK Uncle, and he set that 2:07.832. Very nice lap time there. Myself with the 2:08.225, and then close behind me, P3 900s back is Combat Drongo. So as we get started in this 3-2-1 race, if I can get to the 3-2, I'm fooling around with settings there, trying to get my brake balance right. I wanted 2 to the rear, and then I wanted to put my fuel on trim 6 at the very start here just to save some fuel. And I don't know what I was thinking. I had it on traction control, so I crank up the traction control to 5. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's not what I wanted. I was like, oh never mind. So we take off here, and basically all you want to do is just at the beginning is just stay in the slipstream with the guy in front of you. At least that was my goal. Stay just right behind that dude in front of you. Just get in that slipstream, because once you do, then you start sipping on that fuel a little bit here, there, and otherwhere, and maybe outpace and out fuel save everyone around you, and then be able to pop out either after a pit or stay out and, you know, run that whole fuel, you know, that whole no-stop strategy. So P1 goes really wide into turn 1. I got Drongo coming down the inside, so I give him some room inside of there. And I actually come out of this corner in P1, and I'm kind of crapping myself because this really isn't where I want to be. I wanted to be behind someone, and I was hoping that someone was going to rabbit a little bit, like really try and push and get a good lead. And the Corvette looked a little racy there. It looked like he was even trying to think about sending it down the inside. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, that's a really bad move right there at this point in the race. Just jump in behind me and let's go. And I'm going to try and put a little bit of distance back on, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because as the times went back in the lobby, they weren't as close to our lap time. So I figured we might be able to pull out a little bit of lead on these. You can look in the rearview mirror and, you know, on the map below, you can see we're already dropping time to P3 there. So it's kind of working. And I kind of thought a little bit, I was like, well, as much as that Corvette is pushing on me, he must really be trying to to push pretty hard. And the Corvette was really good at Tokyo anyway. I thought it was a pretty good car for the track. The top speed on it I was surprised at how good it was going down the straight. I didn't know that the GR4 Vet was that fast, but it could scoot down that straight for sure. So I let him by there on the inside. I stay way away from the wall. So one of my goals is to not get any SR downs, because I've already experienced a 30,000 DR loss from that experience, and so I do not want to repeat it. So I jump in his slipstream, get to the fuel trim 6, and I'm kind of flipping it back and forth. I'm looking at the upper left corner. I'm trying to, adjust my fuel trim based on how far I'm falling back or coming up to him. And I'm kind of going between it, and every once in a while it kind of messes me up, because I'm playing with the fuel trim too much and not really concentrating on my driving. And I really need to be concentrating on my driving, especially after what happened last week. So if you hadn't heard, I had some SR downs there at Monza, just some incidents that happened, just accidents and whatnot. Obviously, nothing intentional, no one's fault, just things that happened, And so I went into Spa to rebuild my SR, which was at 82. In the first race, I'm telling you, I got bounced all over the place like a pinball. And I was trying to give people room through corners and no such luck. And so I got knocked down to a 78. So I went for it again. I was like, okay, just be more careful this time. And that was even worse. Like, it was the dumbest thing I could have done was even try to be more careful. I got absolutely slaughtered, then moved towards the back of the pack. And then it was just like, oh, it was a nightmare. So I end up losing 30,000 TR, and my SR went all the way down to C. So that is why I am where I am right now, and I've got to dig myself back out. So I started at 15,000 at the beginning of this week, DR. I'm up to about 20 right now, 18.7, I believe it is. Not quite 20. But so hopefully I can do well in this race. I still got to get my SR up a little bit. It was at 91 going in. No, excuse me, it was at 82 going into 82 or 81 going into this race. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 81. So anyway, so I get back in the Corvette slipstream here on lap 3. Again, I'm trying to save fuel. If you look at my fuel lap guide down there in the bottom center of the screen, you can see I got 5.1 laps of fuel remaining, and I need 7 laps. So I'm 1.9 under, and it's really it's closer to 6.5 laps than it is 7. But anyway, so I'm well under the amount of fuel in the tank that I'm going to need to finish the race. And not only that, I've got P3 right back on my rear bumper. So you can see him and the white car that's a little further back in the rearview mirror are pulling in on both of us here. So there's going to be a race for sure in this one to the finish to see who can get the victory. So moving on to lap 4, the Porsche Cayman down the inside. And I knew the Porsche Cayman was good here. I drove the Porsche Cayman here at Tokyo last season, and I absolutely loved it. It was just amazing in the corners, and then it could just stay in anybody's slipstream. So it was an awesome car for this track. So I knew that he had a good car for the track. I also knew he was pushing pretty hard because he pulled in from pretty far back there, so he really had to have it pinned in a low fuel trim. So I know that he was pushing hard. So I wasn't too worried about him because I knew I could probably out fuel save him. ATK Uncle, I didn't know what he was doing though, because sometimes I felt like I was faster than he was by a lot. So I felt like he was, adjusting that fuel trim up, and then at other times I felt like he was really pulling away. And I think that that's what he was doing. He was dropping that fuel trim down right here, getting ready for that straight, and then he was just going to power down the straight. Could be wrong. I didn't go back and I don't even think you can check that on the replay. So, but it's kind of what it felt like. He may have just been pushing hard the whole race and just trying to go for the best lap times and put a gap on me and P3 and whoever else for a pit stop. So I wasn't sure what his strategy was, but I was basically just going to make a determination of what I wanted to do whenever he made his move, so to speak. Now, right now, I know he's not saving fuel. I don't think he can go the full 9, but I'm contemplating possibly going the full 9. And I jump in behind the Porsche here, and I'm kind of glad the Porsche got out in front of me because I really need to save some more fuel. So not much later, the Porsche pulls away from me in the curves. I made a little bit of a mistake. So I now have the Audi TT on my rear bumper. So I let the TT by, and I'm like, man, everyone is just And they're just blowing by me. Are they saving fuel at all? I don't know. You don't know in the middle of the race. So I let the TT on by, and I figure I'll just fuel save behind him. So I stay in his slipstream for the next few laps there. So we'll move on to lap 7, and the Porsche head gets a penalty, and then the TT runs into him from behind while he unghosts, throws the Porsche into the wall there, and he gets another 4.5 second penalty. So brutal set of circumstances right there for the Porsche. He's going to lose 4.5 seconds and probably got, who knows how much SR down for that. And it really wasn't anything he did on purpose except hit a wall one time, and then the rest was the TT guy hit him as he came out of the penalty zone. So another reason why you should move off that racing line when you're serving your penalty, because if they hit you from behind as the penalty comes off, you can get the penalty. So P1 jumps in the pits here, and I decide with only 1.4 laps to go, I'm going to go ahead and pit because I didn't think there was going to be quite enough gap between me and him. So as you can see, I come in with over 20% fuel, and the next closest is Jesus Word Ender or Work Wonder, Woldender. I can't see what it says there. But anyway, so he's the next closest, but he's pretty far back to me. Now, PSRT 20 times dope. He is way out in front. He's 7 seconds out in front. This dude was saving some serious fuel, but staying just right there behind us this whole time. So he did not stop to grab the fuel. And when we went in the pits, I had about a 2.5 second gap to me and ATK Uncle. Coming out the pits, you can see here, got about 1.5 seconds. So keeping my eye on that as we go into this final lap. Now, it's 7 liters per second. So he needed to put on about 30 liters more fuel than me, so that's about 4 seconds. So 2.5 minus 4 minus 2.5 is 1.5 seconds. So I was able to jump him in the pits with the fuel saving, and then now all I got to do is stay out in front of him. He's already within 0.9 seconds of me in the Corvette, which I know is better than me down the straight. So I'm very nervous because I know if I don't have a big enough lead heading down the straight, that Corvette, that big V8 is just going to eat up my little people's wagon, my little Scirocco, my Volkswagen. It's not going to stay out in front for too long. So pushing hard to try and catch the Porsche, and I'm really running him down here. I'm like, okay, I got to back off because I don't want to run into him in this set of curves. Set up my pass here so I get a nice exit out of there, and I'm really running on him tight. And I'm hoping he doesn't do anything silly right here, like swerve out to the right to block or something like that. And I give him so much room, I scrape the wall. I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't need to scrape the wall. That's not what I wanted to do. Look in the rearview mirror, so I'm putting the gap on him. But look, not far behind him is that ATK Uncle Corvette. So look in the rearview mirrors, you can see he's making the pass on the Corvette. Look over the left real quick, you can see he's only 0.8 seconds behind me. So I have to have a good exit here. I get the exit that I need to hold him behind me and keep him off my tail as we come down the final straight. I've got a 1.1 second lead. That's plenty enough. I got plenty of fuel in the tank. I got 0.4 laps remaining at 4%. That should get me to the finish line without much trouble at all. And so there you have it. I go to drop down the lobby, and I pick up another win. It's not, what I would want in an A lobby or A plus lobby, but I will take the win, take the victory, take the DR points that I need, and I move up to 20,000 DR with this race. I actually enter another race after this and win that one too in a total fuel saver where I stay out, but unfortunately I made a mistake when I went to save the replay, so couldn't bring that to you. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this race. If you did, like I said, please hit that like and or subscribe. I'm gonna keep making videos. I'm gonna keep trying to pull myself up to that A+ rank again, and hopefully we can get there before the end of the season. So for myself, Geauxgreddy, y'all have a great evening. DJ Clean, take us out of here.